For centuries, the cascading rapids of Niagara Falls have attracted scores of daredevils seeking to cheat death as they ride over the precipice. But this man came to the falls to embrace death. 5 feet from the edge, he changed his mind.
When I arrived at the scene and saw the victim, I literally did a double take. I thought I must be seeing this from a wrong angle.
The rushing water is a bitterly cold 33 degrees. At this temperature, it only takes 5 minutes for a person to get hypothermia. This man has been soaking in it for almost an hour.
Unofficially, in the back of my mind, I put his chances at 10% or less.
Battalion Chief John Jacoby and members of the New York State Park Police rush to secure some rescue lines as the full force of the river pushes against the victim.
I've been on the fire department for 29 years, and in 29 years, this is the worst, most unusual situation I've ever come across.
Rescuers call the hydroelectric plant upstream to turn down the flow of water. But it's already down as low as it can go, and the current's still too strong for the victim to reach shore on his own.
I was asking for every single piece of rescue rope that we had, knowing full well that because of the location of the victim, it was going to be real tough to get to him.
Sergeant Pat Moriarty and firefighter Gary Carella decide to brave the freezing fury of the river to get the victim out. But even with their cold water rescue suits tethered to shore, they know that one misstep near the edge would be fatal.
As far as slipping and going over the falls, it's a one-way ride. Firefighters and officers up above us had our lives in their hands when they were hanging onto those ropes.
But the undercurrent is even stronger than the men thought, and they can't risk going in. Any hope of a quick rescue disappears. It's clear they will need outside help.
The position of that victim right at the brink of the falls and the fact that he was 20 to 25 feet from shore, they knew that we were going to need a helicopter.
Officers on the ground call Captain Kevin Caffery of the Erie County Sheriff's Department. The seasoned pilot quickly crests the horizon in the Air 1 rescue helicopter.
When we initially arrived, we couldn't believe our eyes when we actually saw that the gentleman was actually within a few feet of going over the brink.
Caffery and his partner immediately hook up a rescue basket and hover in close to the falls. But there's a problem.
We attempted to fly in over the brink and pick him off, but unfortunately, due to the high winds and the updrafts coming off the brink of the falls, the basket would swing all over the place, and also I had trouble trying to control the aircraft.
Rescuers can't risk the basket blowing into the victim and knocking him off his feet. Caffery will have to rethink his approach. Meanwhile, Moriarty and Carella try to get a life ring to the man, but that's not going well either.
Unfortunately, the current was running from the victim diagonally towards us. So as we threw the ring out, instead of going towards the victim, it was being swept away.
Moriarty can see the man is losing hope, but their shouts of encouragement are being drowned out by the deafening roar of the falls.
I kept giving him a thumbs up just to let him know that we were still working, we still were coming towards him.
By now, the man has been stuck in this precarious position for over an hour and a half. The only thing keeping him from dropping 180 feet to the rocks below is a slippery foothold on an underwater stone. If he even tries to shift position, the water will take him down.
To be that victim in the falls at that point, the current would be dragging at his legs, attempting to pull him over the falls. Immediately behind him is a precipice that leads to certain death. And he has nothing to do but wait and pray that the rescuers are able to get to him.
Then the three agencies come up with a way to consolidate their efforts.
I spoke with members of the New York State Park Police and asked if they could possibly give us a rescue ring and leave it attached to the shore along with the firefighters holding onto the rope, and we would attempt to drop that rescue ring to the subject in the water.
Caffery's partner holds onto the ring as the captain tries to find the best place to release it. But the victim is getting weaker, and there's not much time for second guessing.
The officers on the shore were calling to us and said, Air 1, if you can't get him now, he's going over. So, I mean, the pressure was on.
But as the helicopter moves into position, the man starts to stumble. The chopper's downwash blows him off his feet.
I thought that was it. I thought he was going over the edge. As soon as he dropped down, my heart sank.
We knew darn well that he only had a few seconds to live after he had been knocked over.
Caffery's partner quickly drops the ring. Amazingly, it floats right to the victim. Rescuers can't believe their luck as he grabs hold.
I don't know what enabled him to do it, but when he was able to do it, all of us on the shore almost wanted to stand up and cheer. It was incredible.
But the celebration is short-lived. The current immediately sweeps the man under an ice shelf. The two rescue swimmers will have to fight the force of the rapids after all. If they don't reach the victim quickly, the jutting ice will trap him under the water and he will drown. With their suits still tethered to the shore, the men make their way over. Only a small portion of the man's arm is sticking out of the ice, and Sergeant Moriarty grabs it.
The victim said to me, "Please don't let me go." And I told him, "Don't worry, we're not going to let go of you."
The officer smashes through the shelf and tugs the man out. Firefighter Gary Corello wraps his legs around the victim and shouts to the rescuers on shore.
The guys on the top were very anxious to see the victim and our rescuers on top.
The officers and firefighters pulled with all their might, and finally, after almost 2 hours of fighting against the fate he almost chose, the victim is back on land. His body is numb, and the severe hypothermia has temporarily paralyzed his legs. But regardless of his original intentions, he struggled with everything he had left to save the life he almost ended. Now paramedics will too. Incredibly, after a few days in the hospital, his condition is upgraded, and the men who risked their lives to save him couldn't be happier.
At the end of a day like that, you've earned your salary, and you definitely relax after it's all done.
It was a rescue fraught with setbacks, and no one agency could have done it alone.
Without a doubt, the reason this was a successful rescue was teamwork and the professionalism of the firefighters and the police officers involved.
Their efforts literally saved a man from the brink of death.
There is no way that that man should have survived. And when we walk away and we know that he's on his way to the hospital and he's going to live to see another day, is beyond compare.